NBA, dominating the court with godly talent unlocked. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 11. Enmu's excellent defense under the basket thoroughly aroused the interest of scouts. If Enmu's first block of Camby is a coincidence, then, this time, Enmu's 2 blocks on Camby and Massachusetts small forward showed Enmu's talent in front of all scouts. Several scouts from the NBA began to discuss it in earnest. Enmu? The name has never been heard of. It should be a celestial empire person. If you haven't heard his name before, then he came to study in the United States in college. This guy seems to have better potential than Camby? A scout asked tentatively. Another scout said, at the moment, he is more physical than Camby, but on the offensive end, I only saw his dunks. I haven't seen anything else. The head coach of the University of Massachusetts has sweat on his forehead now. From the beginning of the game until now, Massachusetts has not scored a single goal. On the other hand, Santa Clara's side has completed several consecutive attacks. He motioned to the referee and called a timeout. Camby walked off the court and silently picked up a towel to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Although it didn't take long for the game to start. But for him, it was an ordeal. Being blocked by Enmu several times in a row is even more of a blow to this arrogant champion. Am I really going to be defeated by a passerby? Marcus, how do you feel? Calipari asked with concern beside Camby. Judging by the performance of the game, Camby was suppressed by Enmu from the opening jump. Is that center called Enmu really that terrifying? Camby took a sip of water and said solemnly, his power is terrifying, even comparable to Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to start getting serious. He won't be my opponent. Camby is still confident in himself. This stems from his self-confidence over the past 20 years. On Santa Clara's side, David looked at Enmu with satisfaction. And, after the suspension is over, you have to continue playing like you did just now. None of them are your opponents. Before the start of this game, David also teamed up with worries. Although Enmu's physical fitness is blind, basketball is not only about physical fitness. He was also afraid that Enmu would become a live target for wanton attacks on the opposite side when he got to the court. However, judging from Enmu's current performance, he is extremely adaptable to the pitch. Just as the two teams rested, the mood of the fans changed. Originally, they came to see Marcus Camby. In their expectations, Camby would be miserable today. However, I didn't expect that a big center from the Celestial Empire popped up on the opposite side. This center striker seems to be carrying a mysterious energy from the ancient East, which makes Marcus Camby deflated. His dunk is so impressive. His cover made the fans feel the blood gushing. Marcus Camby's physical qualities are known for, in front of this number 0 center, is not worth mentioning. Many of them had come to see Camby. But after seeing these wonderful performances of Enmu, I found that I actually wanted to support Santa Clara University. In fact, this is also normal. The people who can feel Santa Clara University watching the game must be locals. Before the game, they supported Massachusetts because they knew Santa Clara would never beat Massachusetts. But when the game began, they discovered that Santa Clara University had a chance of beating Massachusetts. Moreover, Santa Clara also has a center forward who is not inferior to Camby. These fans from all over Santa Clara City began to unanimously support Santa Clara University. Trenwicks is one of those fans. In addition to being a fan, he also has an identity. In fact, he is an editor of the San Francisco sports newspaper. He came to see the game today, originally planning to collect Cant's performance on the field. Then publish it in the newspaper. Although Santa Clara University has a white point guard Nash playing well. But Nash Ganada's identity is not pleasant. Moreover, Santa Clara has no special honors either. So he is single-mindedly going to praise Camby today. But what he didn't expect was that Santa Clara University had a mysterious center. After the center starts, he sent Camby home several times in a row. Perhaps, by changing the theme to this freshman center of Santa Clara, the newspaper can sell more. Wicks calculated inwardly, and at the same time, the camera in his hand was also aimed at Enmu. After the timeout ends, the game resumes. Don't be too happy. I didn't use my full strength just now. I'm starting to get serious. Camby spoke to Enmu for the first time in the game. But listening to Enmu's ears, this seemed like a threat without any lethal power. Nash then came to Enmu's side. And, don't show mercy to your subordinates. What the NCAA league needs is madness, to blow up opponents. The more ruthless you are, the more attention you can get. Enmu said without thinking, I never said that I would show mercy to his subordinates. In fact, he was going to blow him up directly. The race starts again. The atmosphere of the game now is obviously more solemn than just now. Everyone's eyes were all on Enmu and Camby's body. What kind of strategy will Campy adopt? How will Enmu fight back? Episode 12, Massachusetts Ball. The point guard dribbled over the half and played a block with Campi from beyond the three-point line. Campy's body directly blocked Nash. The Massachusetts point guard broke through on the right into the box. At this time, Campy was also quickly cutting to the inside line. Nash looked at the empty cut Campy and wanted to step forward to stop it. But his thin body had no way to stop Campy. Campy hit hard, and Nash retreated. The Massachusetts point guard saw Campy cut inside and hit the ground to send the basketball into Campy's hands. When Campy got the basketball, his arm muscles tensed instantly. Before the Santa Clara players could react, the meteor strode into the basket. I wasn't prepared just now. This time, you will try the capping again? Campy glanced back at Enmu, and his footsteps kept rushing to the basket. At this time, the basket had been emptied, as if it was reserved for his performance. This time, be sure to buckle the basketball hoop and tremble. Campy thought to himself. Nash looked at Campy's impact speed and shook his head helplessly. This goal, even if Chamberlain comes, may not be able to defend, right? Not enough, and Enmu has done well enough. Several attacks in succession. Missing this time is actually nothing. However, when Nash's gaze was placed on Enmu's body, his pupils contracted instantly. At this time, Enmu's heart ignited a flame. The calf muscles instantly tightened, and then suddenly exploded. Bang! Enmu vigorously stepped on the hardwood floor under his feet and rushed to the basket at an incredible speed. Taking a big step, Enmu came out from the side of Campy. Shade raised his hand towards the basketball in Campy's hand. Campy clenched his teeth and stared at Enmu fiercely. Want to stop my dunk? Can you stop me? The muscles of his upper limbs burst out with full force, and the strength in his hands increased by a few points again. On the other hand, Enmu's muscles also stirred instantly, and the energy he burst out was even more amazing than Campy. Boom! The dimensional level energy given by Enmu, God's chosen body, was exerted on the basketball. And Campy, who was holding the ball, was directly slapped on the floor by Enmu and fell to the ground with a bang. Marcus Campy, capped again. The God's chosen body has once again unleashed its own infinite power. Oh God! It's incredible. I saw the Hulk playing basketball on the court. This time the cap made Santa Clara University's morale skyrocket again. The quick counterattack is once again a fight. Nash's feet flickered, and although his steps were not large, his cadence was extremely fast. Massachusetts immediately put its defensive focus on Nash. And Nash used a fancy back pass to Enmu's hand before he encountered the bag. Enmu held the ball and stepped into the three-point line. When the sole of the foot steps on the penalty line, it takes off instantly. Raise the fire with one hand and criticize Mount Everest angrily. Boom! Once again, the dunks of the entire stadium fans were shocked. If I'm not mistaken, this is a free throw line dunk? Is this a dunk that a 213 centimeters player can make? God, what is the origin of this celestial empire center? Such physical talent is rare in the NBA, right? At this moment, Enmu became the most eye-catching person in the audience. In the opening 6 minutes, Enmu has already received 4 blocks. Of these, 3 caps were taken from Campy's head. Looking at the dead Campy who was pinched by Enmu, many people began to wonder, didn't Campy wake up today? No. They reacted quickly. Campy is still very good, but today's Santa Clara's big celestial center is even better. The forbidden area he guarded seemed to have become a no-fly zone. All those who want to challenge his authority will be severely punished by him. At this time, many fans have taken off the college jersey that they are wearing from Campy. They are already cheering for Santa Clara. Less than 10 minutes into the game, Enmu had already used his performance to completely suppress Campy's limelight. Under Enmu's hands, Campy seems to be a schoolboy who can't play. Such physical fitness, it's really terrible. Could it be that the basketball players in the Celestial Empire are so terrible? I'm a little worried that after this game, will Campy still be the favorite in 1996? Some have begun to worry about Campy's draft pick predictions. After this game was reported, the news that Campy was abused by a freshman will definitely sweep the whole meter. At that time, I am afraid that this talented center who is full of spirit will be a mistake in his life. And Enmu, who beat Marcus Campy to the falling flowers today, will immediately become famous throughout the country. When Enmu finished the free throw line and dunked, the Santa Clara University team members all came to Enmu's side to celebrate. Nash even more wanted to celebrate with Enmu. As a result, his thin body was directly hit by the strong Enmu and flew. Nightmare. Campy looked at Enmu, who was celebrating with his teammates, and couldn't help but evaluate Enmu with these 2 words. Episode 13, It's terrible. This Celestial Empire center striker completely slaughtered the whole game by himself. Santa Clara University Coliseum, California. The fans were chatting and almost knocking over the dome of the stadium. Because this game is too shocking for them. It's the worst game I've ever seen, and it's also the best game I've ever seen. Some fans commented on the match with such strange words. If it's someone who has also watched this game, then he will know that this fan's words are describing 2 teams. For the University of Massachusetts, the game was miserable. And for Santa Clara University, it's a good game. Today, Enmu, a mysterious center from the Celestial Empire, made an appearance. And still in the game, strong abuse of Campy. Who is the brightest player on the pitch? This question is actually answered when jumping the ball. Naturally, Enmu, who can attack quickly after jumping the ball. In 40 minutes of game time, Enmu played 32 minutes. In the end, he handed over a horrible 40 points, 21 rebounds, and 11 blocks. A terrible cap triple-double. However, in terms of assists, Enmu's record is 0. But does it matter? As a center, as long as he is strong, even if he has 0 assists in the game, there is no problem. Because he can end the battle on his own. He doesn't need to solve problems by passing the ball at all. At the same time, Enmu's hit rate is as high as 100%. Massachusetts simply couldn't stop Enmu. As a champion, Marcus Camby was suppressed by Enmu throughout the game. Enmu slashed 40 plus 21 plus 11, and poor Marcus Camby, who only scored a pitiful 6 points in the whole game. The shooting percentage is a sad 3 of 11. With Enmu occupying the basket, Camby couldn't get in at all. The way he scores can only be by shooting from mid-range. These 3 balls can be shot or luck. Massachusetts bench. Team coach Calipari patted Campy on the back. Marcus, don't doubt yourself because of a game failure. Don't forget that before this game, you had a lot of good performances. And it's just warm-up games, and the following season, there's the tour, the playoffs, and the NCAA tournament. You still have a chance to play well. Warm-up games are just for regaining the rhythm of the game and scouting the players. This game, although Massachusetts lost badly. But Calipari was still full of confidence in his disciple. There is only one Enmu. After passing the hurdle of Enmu, the one who greeted Camby may be Tong Tian Avenue. Moreover, the blow Enmu gave him may also be considered a good thing. This year, he can clearly feel that Campy's heart is a little impetuous and he is not serious about training. All of this was the impact of the draft predictions. Today's defeat will make Camby even better. Kid, those who can't kill you are stronger after all. Calipari's serious words left a mark on Campy's heart. In stark contrast to the Massachusetts side is Santa Clara's bench. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome blow up. Dick David patted Enmu's back fiercely. And, do you know, decades, do you know how I have lived these decades? As the head coach of a school that is not a famous basketball school. The pressure on David is not small. Before Enmu, the team's most talented person in the last 10 years was Nash. Although Nash is talented, his shortcomings are also obvious. And also an outside player. In the 90s, especially in the NCAA, it was still an era dominated by interior players. So even though Nash was good, Santa Clara University still hadn't made it to March Madness. This made David frown. And this year, with the emergence of Enmu. With Enmu blowing up Camby in today's warm-up game. David finally let out a vicious breath. He wanted to stand on the technical stage and shout at all the fans. See? Although we Santa Clara are not famous schools, we can still dig out geniuses, and it's the kind of peerless genius that explodes into the sky. At this time, David's face turned red because he was too excited. Enmu looked at the excited David and said with a smile, "Coach, if you are so excited every game, then when the season starts, your heart may have problems because you are too emotional." Old man, it's better to keep a normal heart. After hearing Enmu's ridicule, David was not angry. Instead, he said with a smile, "And, do you know what I have in mind now?" The good mood of winning also filled Enmu's heart, and he smiled lightly. "What do you think?" David looked at Enmu seriously and said, "Labor and management have changed their goals. I want to win." Since Enmu abused Campy, David has changed his goal of reaching the Final Four. He raised his goal to win the March Madness. But Enmu said softly, "Coach, don't hide from you. From the day I entered the team, my goal was to win the championship." On the side, Nash also laughed after hearing Enmu's words. "And, you're very ambitious." Enmu's arrival made Nash's data rocket. Today, he scored 11 points. Although he doesn't score a lot, his assist stats are scary. A full 18 assists. That has already set Nash's NCAA assist record. His previous record was only 9 times. And Mu's arrival has doubled his record. David looked at Mu, then at Nash, and said, "Young people just want to be vigorous." He just wanted to open his mouth to say the next word. But the entire Santa Clara University team has already snatched what he has to say. Everyone shouted loudly, "If you are not arrogant, why do you still call young people?" Episode 14. If you are not arrogant, why do you call young people? This sentence was heard by the entire gymnasium. Their morale is good. I'm more optimistic about Santa Clara University entering March Madness this year. With Mu here, Santa Clara's entry into March Madness is actually a sure thing. Yes, if Santa Clara University is in the eyes of internal competition, such as the Great Eastern League or the Pac-12 League, it may still be difficult. But they are the West Coast League, and after today's game, it seems that Santa Clara University is already the strongest team in the West Coast Conference. The reaction of the average fan is this. The reaction of the scouts from the NBA was to bow their heads and write wildly in their notebooks. Another genius center, the most impressive thing is his physical fitness. This may be close to Chamberlain's physical fitness. Visually inspected, the technical aspect is immature. However, under such physical fitness, technology is not important. Through the polishing of a professional trainer, as well as the gentle feel of his own yellow race, excellent techniques will quickly form. Rating, A? In the place of the rating, he wrote an A, followed by a question mark. The A-grade rating is already very good. In his notepad, the guys who can get an A-grade rating are the guys like Camby, Iverson, Marbury, Ray Allen. However, Mu's performance has clearly surpassed these people. In the end, he erased the rating of A and replaced it with an A+. Carl. I'm going to fly back quickly, and I'm going to report this guy to the general manager. The NBA scouting circle is a very small circle. Some of these people have even known each other for decades. After saying hello to his old friend, he hurried out of the gymnasium. Previously, the team sent him to observe Camby's performance. However, Mu's appearance disrupted everything. Camby's name has been crossed off his watch list. He had a hunch after returning to the team and reporting the situation to the general manager. Perhaps Mu will become his new observation object. And the scout, called Carl, did not leave the gym after watching his old friend leave the gym. Old fellow, I was so excited that I forgot to take the videotape. Using a notebook to show a player's talent is stupid. If there is a videotape, then the persuasiveness will be greatly increased. Carl complained about his old friend again and again as he walked towards the technical desk. When he arrived at the technical desk, he revealed his identity and wanted a videotape. However, it was rejected by the staff of the technical desk. Because the gymnasium only has 2 videotapes. A volume needs them to preserve. What about the other volume? Carl asked suspiciously. The staff replied, at the end of the game with 1 minute left, the scout sitting next to you is leaving. Bye. Carl cursed and showed a helpless smile. Cunning fellow. Then, he asked the staff, then I can take it and copy it, right? Yes. Tren Wicks, editor of the San Francisco sports newspaper, drove back to San Francisco immediately after the game. The city of Santa Clara is only 60 kilometers from San Francisco. It's only an hour's drive away. He planned to return to the newspaper office as soon as possible and prepare the manuscript to achieve the goal of reporting as soon as possible. Whether it is the era of print media or the age of electronic media, timeliness is important. First-hand news often makes the media get a lot of money. He had observed it before, and there were not many reporters who came to see the game today. Because it's just a warm-up game. San Francisco has a football team, there are NBA teams, and this college game naturally does not attract much attention. This is his chance. An hour later, the San Francisco sports newspaper. Wicks was already sitting at his desk and began writing. In an hour, he was ready to write. At the same time, it is accompanied by several pictures taken by yourself. Newspaper headline, Shock. Celestial Empire, Mysterious Center. Brutal 40 plus 21 plus 11 tyrannical Campy. This title makes Wicks very satisfied. Looking at the time, it was already 12 p.m. The printing plant has not yet started. He contacted the printing house, took down an article analyzing the Warriors' new season, and then put the article in the headlines. In his opinion, the Warriors, who have not made the playoffs for many years, are definitely not as topical as this report. San Francisco. But the place where the Chinese live the most. And Mu is a celestial dynasty person. The word Celestial Empire in the title will greatly increase the willingness of Chinese people to buy newspapers. At 4 o'clock in the morning, newspapers began to be printed from the printing house. At 7 o'clock in the morning, newspapers have begun to appear on the desktops of some of San Francisco's home who order newspapers. A celestial dynasty defeated one of the 1996 champion candidates in the competition. This made countless Chinese people feel excited. In an instant, Enmu became a talking point for the Chinese community. Those who did not order newspapers had to go to newsstands to buy newspapers. Fortunately, Wicks was prescient. While sending the manuscript to the printing house printed 10,000 more copies. However, he still underestimated the impact of Enmu's outstanding performance. Before 11 o'clock in the morning, Enmu's performance was only fermenting in the Chinese circle. However, wait until the midday sports news broadcast at 12 noon to report on Enmu's performance. In an instant, discussions about Enmu spread throughout the city of San Francisco. And on the evening sports news of the day, ESPN also reported on the news that Camby was blown up by Enmu. In an instant, Enmu's 2 words were hot all over the meter. At this time, the San Francisco sports newspaper. Wicks sat down again, working on his desk. He wants to strike while the iron is hot. Soon, a report reappeared. In the top 10 teams of the NCAA new season, there is this team. This team is naturally Santa Clara University. In the article, Wicks praised Santa Clara University, arguing that Santa Clara University could be the NCAA's blackest dark horse this year. So he directly included Santa Clara University in the top 10 teams. After the release of Shock, Celestial Empire, Mysterious Center, Brutal 40 plus 21 plus 11 Tyrannical Campy. The second day of the article, the San Francisco sports newspaper continued to publish articles on the top 10 teams. That evening, when Nash took yesterday's and today's newspapers to Enmu. Looking at the headline in the newspaper, Enmu sighed. This Wicks, not going to the UC editorial office, is really a condescending talent. Although the title is exaggerated, the sales volume is still very good. Moreover, in the past few days, the news that Enmu broke Camby has also been fermenting. That warm-up match really became Enmu's battle for fame. Now, Enmu has initially become famous in the United States. It's just that Enmu is a little distressed. Because since the warm-up game, there have always been a lot of envelopes or notes in front of his bedroom. Most of the envelopes contained love letters. On the note, the phone number is recorded. It's still a disaster for appearance. Episode 15. Enmu's brilliant performance in Santa Clara vs. University of Massachusetts made his name spread all over the meter. But soon, his limelight was overshadowed. Because the new NBA season has begun. In the NBA opener on November 3, Mike Jordan was in excellent form in the Bulls vs. Hornets game. On March 18, 1995, Jordan announced his comeback. But in the Eastern Conference playoffs that season, the Bulls lost to the Magic, led by Penny Hardaway and O'Neal. This led to an instant decline in Jordan's popularity. Many people are saying that Jordan's dominance has declined after his comeback. He's not the basketball god anymore. Jordan's 3-game winning streak is fake, and his comeback, without touching basketball in 2 years, will only reduce his historical status. But, Jordan is Jordan. In the off-season, he ignored all kinds of outside voices, and practiced day and night every day in the off-season. Finally, in the NBA opener against the Hornets on November 3, Jordan slashed 42 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. Directly responded to the doubts of the outside world. But after beating the Hornets, Jordan didn't play well in consecutive games. Before the game with the Heat player Mourning boasted, "Today, I will let Michael taste my block. I will limit him to death." As a result, this angered Jordan. In the game against the Heat, Jordan scored 50 points in the whole game, and also had multiple shutoff Mournings. Although Mourning cut down 33 points and 19 rebounds, he still suffered under Jordan. It is this game that directly detonates the whole meter. That rebellious Michael Jordan, he's back. A week after the NBA starts, on November 10. The West Coast League's tour also began. In the first match, Santa Clara University's opponent was the University of the Pacific. The Santa Clara bus stopped in front of the Oracle Arena. This West Coast League opener was played at Oracle Arena, the home of the Warriors. Nash got out of the car and looked up at the Oracle Arena gate. "And I will play in such a stadium in the future." His tone was full of expectation. Enmu smiled heartily. Nash must not know that he will be the MVP of Curry taught in this arena in the future. At the beginning, Nash was the development consultant of the Warriors. A lot of Curry's playing skills have Nash's shadow. "Steve, no future, now we can play in this arena." Nash shook his head and smiled, "And, you know what I mean. I'm talking about getting into the NBA, being an NBA player, and then playing in a stadium like this." Oh, it's just that my draft pick isn't very good right now. It's time to work harder. Nash said, feeling a little down. His current draft is only at the end of the second round. The draft at the end of the second round is not enough. It can happen to be squeezed out of the draft at any time. And Moo patted Nash on the shoulder and encouraged, Steve, there are almost 9 months before the draft. You can use your ability to change the scouts' impression of you in these 9 months. In my mind, you're the best point guard I've ever seen. After receiving Moo's encouragement, Nash gave him a high hand. Man, thanks for the encouragement, let's cheer together. You also have to hurry up and hit the draft prediction list. It took me 2 years to reach the end of the second round. But your talent is great, I think in just 1 year you can get into the lottery. Although Mu beat Camby in the warm-up game. But many NBA teams still make conservative observations of Mu. After all, Mu was a player who suddenly jumped out of thin air. Scouts in the United States don't know the details of Mu. It is impossible to determine the future of Mu with 1 game. They need to observe at least 30 games before they can make their own judgments. In other words, when the season is over, the assertion about Mu will basically come out. After the two finished speaking, they entered the arena together. There is no doubt that they are playing away today. The University of the Pacific is a university in downtown San Francisco. Santa Clara University is located 60 kilometers from San Francisco, although only an hour's drive away. But relative to University of the Pacific, they are really an away team. And, this is your first away game, don't be nervous. When Mu heard this, he said in a relaxed tone, Steve, have you forgotten the report on me by the San Francisco sports newspaper? Brother, don't forget that this is San Francisco, the place with the largest number of Chinese. Even if it's an away game, I definitely have a lot of supporters. As soon as Mu's voice fell, a young fan immediately ran in front of the two. Mu? He asked in Chinese. Mu smiled and nodded, yes, it's me. Hello, I read the San Francisco sports newspaper's report on you, come on tonight. Good game, I'll cheer you on. Nash looked at the young man and suddenly pointed to the school emblem on his chest. This is the University of the Pacific emblem, right? Don't you support your school? The young fan immediately waved his hand. Although I am a student at Pacific University, I am a fan of Mu. There's no conflict between the two, is there? Nash smiled awkwardly, no conflict. And Mu, can you sign me a name? Not only will I cheer you on today, but also a few students from studying abroad. I'll take this signature and show it off later. After Mu signed the young fan, the young man left happily. And, have you broken into the enemy? Nash teased as he looked at the fans who were far away. At this time, David urged from behind the two, hurry up and change clothes to warm up. Today's opponent is not easy to mess with. Che, and beat Camby last time. Can that English O'Neal freshman center at the University of the Pacific be better than Camby? And, what kind of a lava candy, you can definitely blow it up casually. Nash whispered to Mu. A smile appeared at the corner of Mu's mouth. Burst casually? If memory serves, he was the champion of 1998, right? Another champion? So, what will be the result this time? Episode 16. This scene is too familiar. America, San Francisco, Oracle Arena. The race has begun. After the jump ball, a fan muttered. Oh my god. Is this true? He easily beat a lava candy in a jump ball and then went straight down the pitch. Moreover, no player at the University of the Pacific can keep up with the speed of his impact. Among the fans present, there were also people who had never watched the warm-up game. They all let out incredible exclamations. This is simply not an operation that a regular center can do. And, after Nash got the basketball, he said hello to Mu. When Mu heard this, he pointed directly to the sky. Nash took a full view of the situation on the court and threw the basketball directly to the front court. Nash's passes almost never fail. And Nash also put on a show of flowers. He made a quarterback passing pose in rugby and then fried the basketball to the front court. It's a very accurate quarterback long ball. And Mu reached out and received the basketball that Nash threw over. Stride the meteor to the basket. Jump with all your strength and complete the buckle with both hands. OMG. At this time, everyone in the audience was stunned. The commentator on the sidelines said with some uncertainty, is what I just saw true? This center from Santa Clara University actually hit the front court directly after the jump ball. And still get the basketball before everyone and finish off? His partner continued, moreover, this dunk is so shocking. He looked down at the list of players from the two teams and found Mu's name. This center called Mu, his dunk glide distance is terrible. Such dunk glide distances, I think, will only occur with defenders and forwards. But I didn't expect it to appear on him. This is simply the situation in the anime. In Slam Dunk, such a plot will appear, right? However, the plot that should have appeared in the manga is now playing out in front of everyone. And Mu told everyone with his performance. Such an operation is not unique to comics. And Mu shocked everyone with an opening quick attack to score his first score for Santa Clara University. Perfect fit. Nash and Enmu high-fived. Then Enmu touched Nash's head. Hey, and don't touch my head, okay? Nash still pays more attention to his image in the arena. What? Enmu pretended not to hear, and the force in his hand increased a little. Don't worry, it's just rubbing your head. I'm not Duncan, my hands don't have the breath of extinction. Nash couldn't understand what Enmu was saying. However, he still captured the name in Enmu's words. Duncan? Tim Duncan, that big guy from the Vic Forest? But speaking of which, if we are going to win the championship, he is really a big resistance for us. Hearing this, Enmu pointed to a big man wearing a Pacific University jersey. Steve, in someone's territory, don't mention Duncan's name again, give people a little face. Ha ha ha. Olava Candy looked at Enmu pointing at himself, and he was a little angry in his heart. That guy just now was too fast. He didn't even react, and directly let the guy get a chance to score. Humph. It's just a big guy with a fast speed, what's so good? Like Canby, Olava Candy has his own pride. He was born in England. This year I transferred to the University of the Pacific. He was gifted from an early age and his physical fitness was excellent. In fact, a game before the warm-up game at the University of Massachusetts and Santa Clara University. The University of the Pacific is Massachusetts' rival. In that match, Campy and Olavo Candy were evenly divided. And after hearing that Camby was blown up by Enmu, Olavo Candy also wanted to see what level of the center who broke Camby was. For now, it's just a good speed center. Camby must have been blown up by Enmu because his physical strength was exhausted after fighting with me. Olava Candy thought triumphantly. Ball rights at the University of the Pacific. Olava Candy made a block with the point guard on the outside. The point guard uses a block to shoot directly into the box. Nash's physical fitness simply couldn't keep up. And the Pacific point guard directly threatens the basket. Just when the fans in the audience thought that Pacific University was about to get the first point. Enmu struck out again. Following behind the point guard of the University of the Pacific, the moment he shot, pinned the basketball directly to the rebound. Speed is really his strong point, but fast centers are generally weak. Olava Candy felt that he confirmed what was in his mind. After N nailed the big hat, the basketball bounced into the hands of Kevin Dunn, a small forward at Santa Clara University. Dunn held the ball and quickly headed for the front. Olava Candy did not go inside after doing the blocking. So he was the first player at University of the Pacific to return to defense. In the face of Dunn's impact on the basket, Olava Candy was fully prepared and blocked Dunn's shooting angle well. And Dunn was also a little anxious, and took a layup against Olava Candy. Although the ball was not blocked, it also came out of the basket. Hee hee, you dare to single me out with this finishing ability? Olava Candy thought contemptuously, wanting to tiptoe the basketball into his arms. But, at a time when basketball was about to enter his arms, a shadow suddenly appeared behind him. Santa Clara University away jersey number 0, floating in the air. Two big yellow hands took the basketball first in the air. This then changed the trajectory of the basketball's original downward fall. Boom. Enmu clasped his hands heavily to complete the basket. At the same time, Olava Candy, who was waiting for the rebound under the basket, was directly hit by Enmu and staggered forward a few steps. Oh, Dunn screamed strangely. This buckle came in time. Then he looked at Enmu with some resentment. And, if I had known you were in the back, I would never have made a layup. As long as you say hello to me, I can pass you a domineering aerial relay. Enmu said easily, it's the same for me, anyway, the smash and aerial relay are 2 points, Dunn said quietly, but for me, 1 more iron strike, 1 less assist. Haha, that's your problem, Enmu talked and laughed with Dunn on the way back to defense. The commentary on the sidelines is also amazed. Enmu's fast attack speed is also too fast. Olava Candy started at the 3-point line, while AMU started under the basket. The time when the two arrived at the basket is actually not much different. Such speed is too rare in big men. Is this a big man with a speed attribute talent? Olava Candy happened to pass by AMU. You've me off completely. I'm going to show my real strength one. I'll show you what English O'Neal is. In Olava Candy's eyes, Enmu is just a big man with a good speed. and he, known as English O'Neal, can definitely suppress Mu in terms of strength. Set a small goal and bruise this guy's chest. Olava Candy whistled and thought lightly. But, isn't Mu just a center with good speed? Episode 17, Ball Exchange, Ball Rights at the University of the Pacific. Olava Candy asked for the ball with his back on the inside and wanted to hit Mu directly. The point guard at the University of the Pacific saw it and immediately passed the basketball to Olava Candy. He believes that Olava Candy can teach a good lesson to this celestial center forward. When Olava Candy took the ball, all eyes were on the two men. Mu versus Olava Candy. Almost the same as the last game. Celestial Empire Center vs a talented center who has been famous for a long time and has great potential. Today, will it be Mu who continues to blow up the opponent's game? No one knows. But everyone believes that time will give them the answer. Boom. Olava Candy dribbled hard and pushed hard back. But he felt like he had hit a wall, and he couldn't stand Mu at all. He mobilized his strength again and used all his strength to crash towards Mu again. Boom. Mu did not move. This guy turned out to be not just a fast center, his strength is also very good. Olava Candy instantly put away his inner contempt and planned to use technology to tease Mu. After he collected the ball, he turned left and kept changing his steps. The basic skills of Olava Candy are still very good. His steps are also very confusing. However, under the physical confrontation given to him by Mu, Olava Candy couldn't help but move his central foot when he changed his steps. The referee on the sidelines was as discerning as a torch and caught Olava Candy's mistake for the first time. Beep. Walking violation. The referee made a penalty gesture by turning his arms in front of his chest. He was fouled. He definitely fouled. Instead of accepting the referee's decision, Olava Candy complained to the referee. The authority of the referee was unquestionable and immediately interrupted his defense. Gestured towards Santa Clara University for a backcourt serve. And Ranch passed the basketball to Nash's hands. The two gestured to each other. Nash raised an eyebrow. It seems that someone at the University of the Pacific is going to be unlucky. Nash was holding the ball outside the three-point line when suddenly a lateral breakthrough occurred. Bang. His defender wanted to follow Nash, but was watched by an iron gate. Again Santa Clara University Center? This block is done too quietly. He didn't notice it at all. Olava Candy's defensive awareness is good. He kept backing away to limit Nash's breakout route while standing ready to interfere with Nash. But Nash suddenly hit the ball after taking 2 steps into the box. At this time Mu rushed into the inside line from outside the three-point line like an arrow off the string. Reach out and easily receive the basketball, the speed of your feet does not decrease, and continue to impact the basket. Olava Candy shifted his footsteps and jumped with all his might, ready to cover Mu. Want to score? No way, it's a real head-to-head battle and Olava Candy believes he won't lose. Mu jumped high at this time and stretched his arms in the air. From the fans' perspective, it can be clearly seen that Mu is now taller than Olava Candy. Suppress. This word appeared in the heart of the sideline commentator. Boom. Mu suppressed Olava Candy in the air and dunked the basketball directly into the basket. Moreover, because Olava Candy hit Mu's arm in the confrontation, he was also awarded a free kick by the referee. Oh my god. Is this a foul? Olava Candy looked incredulous. I raised my hands, and it was his arm that took the initiative to stick to it. The referee said solemnly, your arms are down, don't continue to argue with me, 2+1, man, my pass is not bad, right? Nash whistled and Mu gave a palm. Mu got to the free throw line and steadily put the basketball into the frame. 7-0, although he obtained the God's chosen body, his strength increased greatly. However, the soft feel unique to the yellow race has also been preserved. The system is produced, and it is indeed pure natural and pollution-free. Mu still remembers that when I used to read NBA novels, some of the protagonists suddenly gained some power increase that led to a sudden decrease in the free throw shooting rate. What does this indicate? It shows that those people's Goldfinger system is not powerful enough. Such a situation will never appear on oneself. After the free kick was scored, Mu suddenly walked to Olava Candy's side. He opened his mouth to say a word that made Olava Candy want to hit someone. I heard you're English O'Neal, so how does your free throw percentage compare to O'Neal? Olava Candy clenched his fists and stared at Mu deadly. Is this person looking for a beating? However, at this time, Nash's words once again made Olava Candy's heart pierce. And, haven't you read his information? He does seem to be shooting less than 50% from the free throw line. Olava Candy almost gritted his teeth when he heard this. What a humiliation. What a humiliation. If Mu said that his shooting rate was similar to O'Neal's, it was trash talk. Then Nash's words are humiliating himself. The guy opposite didn't even look at his own information? Where did you put me, English O'Neal? Do you think English O'Neal is not O'Neal? Wait for it. I'll let you know how awesome I am next time. The point guard at the University of the Pacific once again put the basketball in the hands of Candy. Candy began to hit again. This time, he blushed and mobilized the strength of his whole body to hit Mu. And Mu directly straightened his chest and endured the, from Candy. Tickle? Just this, English O'Neal? Are you embarrassing, O'Neal? And Mu's defensive posture against Candy at this time is like the way Cousins defended Downs in the later life. The way he looks at Candy now is the same as when he was watching monkeys in China. Candy's heart sank, and he once again chose to use technology to face the battle. This time he controlled his central foot very well, and there was no suspicion of walking. But after moving on his feet, he didn't find any opportunities to attack. Candy suddenly made a shot and shot. He wanted to light Mu up, and then he would hit the basketball in. But Mu didn't jump at all, still blocking in front of him like a wall. In the end, Candy had to use his left hand to separate Mu and hook his right hand to shoot. The basketball left Candy's fingertips and flew into the sky. When he was about to fly to the highest point, he was directly intercepted by a big hand. And Mu. Off the field, David shouted Mu's name incredulously after seeing this scene. Is this disciple of his own so terrifying? Limit cap. On the sidelines, the commentator was already excited to the point of breaking the sound. Oh my god. This is the limit cap. Oh my god, my lord, I actually saw the limit cover in the arena of a college game? NBA extreme blocks are rare, right? How rare? As long as there is one limit block, that ball can definitely become one of the top 10 blocks of the season. This Celestial Empire center striker really surprised me infinitely. Episode 18. On the court, Mu's big hand intercepted the basketball and did not shoot the basketball away. With the power of his fingers, he took the basketball into his hands. This is not only an extreme cap, but also an extreme cap grabber. Oh my god. It's terrifying. The fans didn't have time to continue lamenting. A vision appeared on the field. Mu grabbed his hat and landed on the ground looking for a passing opportunity. Unfortunately, the defense of the University of the Pacific did well, and Mu did not find a passing opportunity. Time is not waiting for me. Santa Clara University's main offensive method is defensive counterattack. Mu would not let such a great opportunity disappear. He chose to dribble himself and sprint to the front. Bang! Bigfoot exerts force, ejection starts. In an instant, Mu rushed out of the three-point line. Stop him. Stop him. 1 inch. Seeing a big man of 213 centimeters rushing forward with the ball, the head coach of the University of the Pacific jumped nervously on the sidelines. He pointed at Mu and shouted for the players to stop the big man. If you let Mu, who is holding the ball, enter the box, it's a disaster for the University of the Pacific. Charles Jones, a small forward at Pacific University, gritted his teeth after hearing the head coach's roar and rushed towards Mu. Mu is a big man, and big people are inflexible. Jones believes in his own ability, and the best situation is that he can steal Mu directly. The bad situation only forced Mu to stop. Whatever the result, it's good. Jones came to Mu and observed Mu's dribbling action. It was found that there were still many flaws in Mu's dribbling. Because the center of gravity is too high, Mu's dribbling range is large. It was very good for Jones to steal. When Mu arrived in front of Jones, Jones's eyes flashed, and he reached out to steal. Alas, although I completed an extreme cap, it is still irrational to push and counterattack like this. Yes, he is a center after all. I think this kind of work should still be left to the defenders. The center dribble is too easy to steal. Is this true? I can't believe everything in front of me. Within a second, everyone's discussion just now was rejected. Mu was not tackled, and he was not forced to stop by Jones. At the moment when Jones reached out to steal, Mu lightly made a small circle behind his back, dodged Jones' steal, and silky past Jones. Look up again, there is no obstacle in front of you. Hasten! Mu entered the penalty area like a bolt of lightning and staged a violent dunk again. 9-0, woohoo! After landing, Mu hammered his chest at the fans in the audience. The dribbling behind the back just now is really comfortable. That was actually Mu's flash of light. After all, the scene just now is too much like the fast attack behind Yao Ming's career highlights. As a die-hard fan of Yao-head, Enmu naturally made this action, and he also found that the fan who asked for his autograph before the game was sitting in this direction. He suddenly combined his fingers and made a salute towards the fan who was about to sign the autograph. This action caused the amazement of men and the nymphomaniac of women. Ah. He's so handsome, yes, the face is resolute, and it looks like a tough guy. I really want to see how strong he is. It's not the same as the nymphomaniac of female fans. Male fans discussed more about Enmu's back dribbling. It's so silky. There is nothing uncoordinated about that dribble. It's like a defender dribbling behind the back. Grab the cap at the limit, then dribble and push the counter-attack, and in the process, there is also a dribble behind the back, and finally both hands are rebuckled. Perfect. Even if Chamberlain comes, he can't complete such an operation, right? Most of the people in the room were Warriors fans. The only center that can make Warriors fans proud is Chamberlain, who led the Warriors to win the only championship in history. So they took the initiative to compare Chamberlain and Enmu. Thick is fine. It's not just a brute force center, his technique is still very delicate. The sideline commentator commented, "Let's look forward to the performance of this Celestial Empire center, the University of the Pacific side." Olavekandi's mentality initially collapsed. However, this man has an excellent quality. Enough head iron. Most of the superstars in NBA history have such qualities. Because only the head iron can iron out a superstar. He continued to ask for the ball, ready to continue attacking. He believes that these are normal processes, and he will eventually find a way to restrain Enmu. He looked for ways to attack. But all ended in failure. Bob Thompson, head coach of Pacific University on the sidelines, finally couldn't help it. "You step on horseback to pass me the ball. The team is yours alone? Pass." As a newcomer, he still has to respect the authority of the manager after all. Very reluctant to hand over the basketball. After Jones received the ball, he broke through to the middle distance against Dunn, and suddenly stepped back to shoot with the ball. Oh. Goal scored. 9-2, University of the Pacific finally scored a goal. See, you held the whole team's hind legs. If it weren't for you, maybe your team would have caught up by now. Enmu was beside Olavekanди and unceremoniously poured cold water on him. Olavekandi snorted coldly. Santa Clara University offenses. Nash pushed to the outside and gestured for everyone to pull away the space for themselves to single. Nash's dribbling rhythm was excellent, and several successive attempts swung his opponent away. Whoosh. The nickname of the Son of the Wind is not called in vain, although Nash is physically average, but his speed is really fast. Breaking through to the basket, Nash chose to finish with a layup. But Olavekandi flashed out from the side and was about to block Nash. Nash was in the air, but he still saw a passing opportunity. Canceling the layup, the basketball was delivered from Olavekandi's waist to Enmu's hands behind him. Boom. After taking 2 steps to jump, Enmu rode directly on Olavekandi to complete the dunk. Woohoo, buckle. Oh, my god, too strong. This bouncing force is terrible. As AMU's performances have become better and better, the fans in the stands have now gradually forgotten that this is the home of the University of the Pacific. In fact, in the eyes of many Chinese fans, Enmu's yellow skin gave them more sense of identity. Before the start of the game, they were silently supporting Enmu. When Enmu's performance became more and more excellent, they had already begun to frantically shout Enmu's name. Olavekandi was buckled and felt the greatest shame of his life. He rudely pushed Enmu away, ready to take the ball and serve. Nash saw Olavekandi's rude refund Enmu and immediately disagreed. "You'd better be polite," Nash warned. Enmu pulled Nash behind him and said indifferently, "You go and help me ask about your school's women's basketball team, there is still a shortage of people." Olavekandi is full of question marks. Shouldn't this be the time for saber rattling? Why did Enmu ask like this? Ignoring Olavekandi's question mark face, Enmu continued, "Because I think you should quit the men's basketball team and play the women's basketball team. Man, you're too soft, you're too girly. If you go to play women's basketball, it will definitely be very powerful. Come on, I'm optimistic about you." Episode 19, "Man, your words are a bit murderous." Nash smiled beside Enmu. Enmu said indifferently, "He is that level, I just let him recognize himself." Olavekandi looked at the arrogant Enmu, he clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes seemed to be able to erupt anger. After so many rounds, Olavekandi also understood one thing. That is, if he wants to have a one-on-one PK with Enmu, then he will definitely not be able to beat him. But I still have teammates. Olavekandi thought flukily. He next hopes that he will cooperate with his teammates to recover the gap for the University of the Pacific. The University of the Pacific went on the offensive again. Small forward Jones got the basketball and chose to play Candy to block. The quality of the Candy is good. Jones used the block to break through to the inside line. But Nmu and Dunn formed a change of defense at the first time. After seeing Nmu defending himself, Jones was a little happy. He gestured to all his teammates for them to pull the space out of the way for him. Small to big? I like it the most. Jones licked his lips, as if he could already think of shaking Nmu away for a while. In the face of Nmu's defense, Jones dribbled continuously and changed direction. But what surprised him was that Nmu's steps were very flexible. Every threat he made in disguise, Nmu could actually keep up. Jones shook his head and sped up his dribbling again. Look at the timer, that time is running out. After he changed his body to dribble behind the connection, he immediately accelerated to the inside line. Hey, hey! Jones grinned. Because at this time, he had already left Nmu behind. Even if you can keep up with my dribbling rhythm, you can't keep up with my breakthrough rhythm. Point 1. But that's it. Jones was happy in his heart when he suddenly found that the basketball in his hand had disappeared. At this time, there was a cheer in the audience. Jones looked up and saw that the basketball had run into Nash's hands. At this time, the sideline commentator explained. Nmu reached out and slapped the basketball away the moment Jones broke through. Although Jones completed the breakthrough, he lost the basketball. After Nash received the basketball, he took possession of the ball and went to the front court at full speed. A quick counterattack from Santa Clara University was once again staged at Oracle Arena. Candy came to Nmu's side for the first time, intending to stop Nmu's quick attack. Nmu raised his arm and explained the movements of his hand. The body exerted its strength and forcefully pushed away the Candy stuck in front of him. Steve. After pushing off Candy, Nmu rushed straight to the basket. Nash has a soul. Gal threw the basketball towards the basket. Nmu jumped high, straightened his hands in the air to control the basketball in his hands. The waist and abdomen exert force again, and the power is transmitted to the arms. The power, like a demon god, invaded out. God's chosen body. The dimensional level power carried was displayed by Nmu in this dunk. Boom. Nmu clasped his hands violently. Hulala. Before he could stretch out his hand, he heard the sound reach his ears. Look up. Oh my god. He smashed the rebound? Oh god. What level of power is this? It's horrible. I don't feel like I'm watching a basketball game. It's a superhero movie. Nmu immediately avoided the shattered rebound after hearing the sound of the rebound shattering. After the rebound made a la 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 sound, it cracked directly. Then, it fell to the floor like a waterfall. Steve, is it pretty? Nmu hugged his arms and showed Nash his results. Nash scratched his head, and, are you sure this is beautiful? Nmu nodded affirmatively. Haven't you heard of the aesthetics of violence? Dunk rebounds, violent or violent? Violence. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. Looking at Nmu, who was communicating easily with Nash, he looked at the rebound slag on the floor. Candy's mood was like a dark cloud. From the beginning of the game, he was constantly restricted by Nmu. No, it can't be said to be a restriction anymore. From the moment he saw Nmu, he had been hung by Nmu. Nmu shattered the backboard, and the glass shards fell to the ground, as if piercing his heart. A shadow appeared in his heart. Today, the NCAA background board nickname he can't escape. In today's NCAA Top 10, I don't know how many times Candy will appear. When all the glass shards have fallen, fans plan to see Nmu's masterpiece again. Then, they discovered a condition. This basket, was it bent by him? Yes. The basket must have been bent. This is definitely not horizontal. The basket is already showing signs of bending down. This is Oracle Arena. It is the standard NBA professional basket, and the quality can be guaranteed. His power doesn't seem to need to be described in words at all, and this scene alone can fully explain his power. Although O'Neal also dunked the rebound, he never bent the basket, right? It's definitely harder to bend the basket than to break the rebound. I don't think it's a superhero movie anymore, it's a horror movie, right? The head coach of the University of the Pacific looked at the 13-2 score, sighed, and shook his head again. The strength displayed by the opposing Celestial Empire Center is too shocking. Break the rebound? Oh, my god. The last time I saw such a scene was when Shaquille O'Neal, the 1992 draft pick, was there. Could it be that in the current NCAA, there is another O'Neal from the Celestial Empire? He looked again at Candy, known as England O'Neal, on the team. Anger does not come in one place. At this point, Olavacandy wanted to talk to Thompson. As a result, he was scolded by Thompson. Can't you foul him if you can't stop him? Are you walking on the field? And, do you think they will make you lose money? Nash asked worriedly. And Mu looked at Nash. Steve, you passed the ball, and if you hadn't given me an aerial relay, I wouldn't have broken the rebound. So? Nash, so what? So, even if they want to lose money, it should be you. Nash? And, you are so unreasonable. Strictly speaking, I'm just an accomplice. You are the main culprit. Because the rebound was smashed, the game was forced to be suspended. Head coach David overheard the small talk between Mu and Nash. He smiled heartily. Don't worry, even if you let you lose money, I will pay for it. Who makes me your head coach? Anyway, I still have a school above my head. When the time comes, it is okay to let the school reimburse. David added inwardly. Episode 20. The Oracle Center staff is still very efficient. In less than 10 minutes, I got a brand new basketball hoop. After the change, the competition officially begins. At this time, only 8 minutes have passed in the first half of the game. According to NCAA rules, a game is divided into 2 halves. Each half is 20 minutes, for a total of 40 minutes. And Mu only had 1/5 of the time to directly determine the tone of this game. After changing the basket, Mu completely became a nightmare for every player at Pacific University to back off. Everyone is hiding from Mu. During basketball hoop replacement, Thompson, the head coach of the University of the Pacific, also decided to change the team's style of play. Now, it's definitely not going to work to let Olavacandy attack on the inside. Today, using the 3 words, blasted, to describe Olavacandy is to save him some face. The University of the Pacific began to focus on the outside. Especially Nash. Nash is notoriously weak defensively. The black point guard at the University of the Pacific is a physically good player. He played comfortably with Nash. In 5 minutes, the point guard at the University of the Pacific scored 8 straight points. In one fell swoop, the score was chased to 18-10, narrowed the gap from 11-8. After the point difference was narrowed to less than 10 points, Dick David couldn't sit still. He gestured to Mu from the sidelines. After Mu saw David's gesture, he understood it in his chest. Santa Clara University offenses. Mu made a block with Nash on the outside. Because Mu's internal cut power is too great after the block. Therefore, the defensive strategy of Pacific University towards Mu has also changed. Olavacandy did not delay Nash, but still stayed by Mu's side to prevent Mu from making a breakthrough. Steve cast, Mu steadily blocked the defender for him. Nash got a good shot from the outside. Others don't know Nash's projection power, but Mu does. As the man with the most 180 clubs in NBA history, you don't have to doubt Nash's shooting percentage. Nash showed up in a big space and shot with the ball. Oh. The basketball fell straight into the basket. The NCAA's three-point line is also much shorter than the NBA's, and it couldn't be easier for a top shooter like Nash. I used to just marvel at Mu's power. But as the game went on, I found that this white point guard was also very good. Point 1. The 2 commentators began to discuss. Rick, did you find out, the block between Mu and this white point guard named Nash is very threatening? Oracle Arena-only commentator Odin Carr said. Rick Barry said in a serious tone, Nash's passing vision is definitely some of the best in the NCAA. He couldn't play with Santa Clara University before because his teammates were so weak. Now with Mu cooperating with him, he can complete a lot of operations with a single move. Whether it's the empty shot this time or the comfortable pass that Mu sent to Mu after cutting inside. As a Warrior celebrity, Rick Barry knows it all too well. For Santa Clara University, both Mu and Nash are indispensable. Mu is the sharpest shield on the defensive end, and when he and Nash are combined, he is the strongest spear on the offensive end. It's just that this white point guard's defense is a little bad. Barry concluded, he's got 8 points in a row. I'm more interested in one thing right now. Carl asked, what's the matter? We saw the defensive power of Mu under the basket, but can he extend his defensive range outside the box? If you can, then Steve Nash's defensive problems will be solved. As soon as he finished speaking, Pacific University point guard Jacobson broke through Nash again. After he broke through Nash the first few times, he could get easy shots. But this time after he broke through Nash, as soon as he looked up, he saw Mu in front of him. It's just a big bulky man. Jacobson continued to rush to the basket. After reaching the basket, the rhythm suddenly changed, and the emergency stopped sharply. Accelerate again and shoot with a low layup. If you change to an ordinary center, you will definitely not be able to keep up with his rhythm. But Mu still just followed him. Snap. At the moment Jacobson made a move, and Mu's big hand arrived as soon as possible. The basketball was like being volleyball, and it was directly fanned by Mu. "Oh!" Barry yelled and made a lookout gesture with his hand to his eyes. And Mu actually fanned the basketball to the second floor fan stand? It can be imagined how terrifying Mu's ceiling strength is. Tisk. Carl recalled the round when Mu had just dunked the rebound. This is also in line with the strength of this guy. The fans sitting on the second floor of the fan stand, looking at the basketball flying towards them, were directly stunned. "I'm watching basketball, not baseball." He's only heard of a baseball game where batsmen would hit the ball into the fan stands. Will it also appear in basketball games? At the commentary desk, Barry said with a smile, and Mu verified my idea. He can expand his defensive range beyond the box. Nash's defensive weakness was solved. Perhaps, in the next while, San Francisco fans will have to drive an hour to Santa Clara to watch him play. This guy. Barry pondered for a while and said, the future is limitless, when Mu can expand his defensive range to outside the penalty area. Santa Clara University's defensive power is on the next level. At the end of the first half, looking at the huge point difference, Coach Thompson was extremely disappointed. 40-20. In just one half, Santa Clara University led by 20 points. The data that Mu played down at halftime was terrible. 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 blocks. At halftime, he cut a triple-double of a block. And against him, the future champion Olava Candy slashed 0 points, 1 rebound, 2 fouls, and 3 turnovers in the half. Halftime determines the outcome of the game. You can get a 20-plus block triple-double in 20 minutes. Barry sighed. The NCAA League has once again appeared a monster-level center. In the second half of the game, David did not let Mu continue to play at all. He wants to use the 20-point difference to hone the rest of Santa Clara's players. Santa Clara can't always be taken by Mu, right? Although the University of the Pacific is strong, it is also limited. David knew in his heart that this year's NCAA fight was very fierce. Kate and Antoine Walker in North Carolina, Duncan in Wake Forest, Iverson in Georgetown, Marbury in Georgia. Santa Clara University's road to winning the championship is not easy, but full of thorns. And Mu's arrival only gave Santa Clara University the qualification to compete with these teams. The other players of Santa Clara University still need to improve their strength to face these strong opponents in the future.